what you should be able to see here is our CRM, so you should all be nice and familiar with this. Searching for customers traditionally has been this little box here. And to get into it, obviously you can either double click, I'm not sure if everyone knows that, but you can double click on here, or you can click on the little round arrow here. So if you click on that, it takes you into a search screen that looks like this. So this is our existing search screen. It's been around for a number of years, and I think everyone's quite familiar with it. Over the time, we've had feedback from users about things they'd like it to do or ways it could behave or perform better, and so we've taken that feedback on board, of course, and we've come up with a new search screen. So I've introduced it as in parallel to the existing one at the moment, so you can use either the old search or the new search, and it's just as a way for us to capture more feedback from users. So we're really interested to hear from yourselves as to good, bad, or otherwise on this screen, because we're looking to make it a really excellent screen for you all. So to get to the new search screen, you just tick on that there, and now when I click on this round arrow here, you'll see the screen looks quite different. So it's taking me to our new search screen. At first glance, obviously it looks cosmetically a little bit different, but it's very similar in function to the existing one. So if I type in a customer's name, in this case, again, they're all Simpson characters. If I type in Homer, it does a search like that on that name. When you do a search like this, it's actually searching. You can see this is by default set to all. So when I type Homer, I'm actually searching on any of these attributes for the name Homer. Now, obviously, the word Homer is most likely to be in a name, but if I typed in something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a number, well, that here you can find that within a phone number, you could find that within a site identifier, within a meter number, within lots of different things. So when you search, put a value in there, it's searching on all these variables here that you can enter. If you are doing something like that, if you say, look, it's I want to search, it's apartment 100. So if I type in 100, well, 100 can exist in a heap of places. So it's not a great search to do, because as you can see here, it's returned a myriad of results for the number 100. But if the customer says, I live in unit 100, well, okay, that's a lot more helpful. And you can actually go, well, I want to make it unit number 100. And now it's just searching on unit numbers 100. And you can see it's restricted my results quite a bit. So this by default, as I said, it sets it all when you come into the screen, but it is quite useful if you're looking for a unit number especially, or a specific thing like that. It can be quite useful to use this drop down to actually refine your search there. One of the things I hope you've just noticed as I've just been clicking around there is how speedy it is. So one of the major improvements we've made to the screen is around performance and speed. So it's a lot quicker than the existing one. So that's in the background, one of the major improvements we've made to the screen. Otherwise, just some other of the ways the screen works, and again, similar to the old one, is so I've searched for Homer here. That's gone and found Homer in all these variables here. One of the new features we've introduced is this one here, network node or building. So you can now filter your search by building as well. So if Homer Simpson calls up and he says, my name's Homer, and I live in such and such a building, well, now I can actually restrict my search down to that building. So I'm not sure if it is here. So you can see it's reperforming that search just for that one building now. So that's a new feature, something that you weren't able to do previously, and something that is again based on user feedback, as it is primarily an embedded network off-market system. The building or the network node is a very important concept, and it allows you now to restrict your searches based on that. The other thing you might have noticed that's new is this open account. So by default it is ticked. So what that means is when I'm searching for Homer, I'm only searching for open accounts with Homer. And this is particularly useful if you've been with us for a long time, which some of you have, and you've got a lot of history in the system. So you've got a lot of people that have moved in and out of apartments or properties, things like that, and you've got a whole lot of history. So by default, it's only looking at open accounts, but you can always get to the closed ones as well. So if I extend that just by unchecking it, it's now searching on all customers called Homer, whether they're open or closed. Right, so these two bits here are the sort of the new features in the system. The other thing, just I suppose covering off existing things and how this works, is navigating around the screen. So by clicking on the boxes, so by clicking on the arrows here, this takes you off to that entity. By clicking on the box itself, as I've just done there, that shows you what is related to that entity. So in the case here, I've clicked on Homer Simpson, the customer. That shows me that Homer has two sites, the 740, this shop T10 and the 742 here. So he's got one water, one power site. I can then also click on the site itself, and that will now show me the relationships for that site. So I can now see that Homer is the open customer, but there was a previous customer called the occupier. So we can see the relationships, and same on the contacts. So if I click on Homer here, we can see this contact is related to two customers. Or if I click on this one here, we can see that contact is related to one customer. A contact could be related to many customers, so you'll see all the customers that that contact is related to. So clicking around the screens here is quite useful way to see, what has happened on the site, what has happened for Homer, who he's related to in the system. So it's a relational CRM system, and that's a very useful way of looking around here. The icons are also quite important here. That obviously this is telling me straight away that this is a water site. This is telling me it's a power site. There's also different icons for gas, telco, ISP as well. The other thing that's quite useful here is this icon here. So this is telling me straight away this is a commercial account. Ignore this is demo sort of data, but this is telling me it's a commercial account. The flag here is telling me this is an occupier. Otherwise, if it was a residential person, you'd be getting a little person icon, much the same as that. So there's a lot of information you can glean straight away from this search screen. The other thing to go into these customers, so there's obviously three ways of doing it. You're clicking on these little side arrows, and there is a difference amongst them. So if I click on this one here, I'm going to the customer Homer, right? So that's taking me to the customer part of the system here. So you can see I've landed on the commercial tab here in the system. If I go back into here, go back to them. If I click on the site, that's going to take me to the services part of the system, because that's where I'm saying I want to go. So there's all you're doing really with these sort of things is you're trying to save clicks. So by going to the part of the system you want to go to, you can navigate through to the services. I could have gone into the customer and then clicked on services to eventually get here, but I've just saved myself a click. So that's all that's about, is taking you to the part of the system that you want to go to straight away. Okay, the other thing just to mention on this screen is when I search for a list of customers, and again I'll type in Homer, go back to him. So you can see when I do that search, it's come up with a whole bunch of Homers here, right? There's a whole bunch in the system, or a whole list, or let's say, yeah, I'll do that search. So I found a whole bunch of customers. So I'm going to go into this customer here. Right, what you may have noticed, and this has been around a while, so this is nothing new, but on the overview bar at the top, we have some back and forth arrows. So we have some back and forth arrows at the top, and because I've got a list of customers here that I've searched on, which is all these ones here, we'll let that refresh. Okay, because we've got a list of customers here that I've got to, these back and forth arrows allow me to go back and forth through the list. So if you have a list, let's say you've typed in a bunch of apartments in a building or whatever, and you want to step back and forward through the list in your search screen, you just click on those back and forth arrows, and that's going to take you back and forth through those customers you got selected in your search list. So I'm not sure if that's widely known or a lot of people do that, but that is what those things, these little arrows on the screen here, do. Jumping back into the search, the other thing that we've got is we often get questions about sort of more advanced searches, I suppose. So in our help documentation, which again you can always access from here, so you're going into here and you're going using Utilmate to get to our help at any time. Right, so if I go into the, I've already got that here. In our tips and tricks, if you type in search, there's a bunch of search articles in here. Right, and so we've got some items about how you can do different searches. One of the most common ones here is, I suppose it's called here, a comma search. So you can add two bits together using a comma. So in this example here, if I go back to here and if I go Homer, comma Marge, it's like an or. So it's going anything that is either Homer or Marge, right? So that's what a comma allows you to do. The other thing So that's the new search screen, right? And again, it's very similar to the existing one with a couple of cool new features being the network node and the open site, as well as some other improvements. The other bit we've introduced that's new is a building search, right? So if I click on that option there, what you can see is it's very, very simple that it gives you a list of all your buildings, all your network nodes, and you just click on them. So you go, I'm going to search the tall office building, and now it's given me a list of all the sites in that building. Okay, so you should notice it's nice and snappy because it's a very simple search. You just select your building and it goes, this is what's available in that building. At the top level, again, you've got these icons, so it's showing you the power, whether it's power, water, gas, etc. So it's showing you that straight away. It's showing you who is living in that site. So I'm not going to try and say that name, but this is the person that's living in that apartment or that site, and that is that's the date they've been in there from. You can then click the little drop downs. You can see, well, what's the history here? So some of these might have occupiers in this case here, but some of them might have other accounts that have had some history. So I'm just clicking around them here. That one, he's got nothing. Yeah, so here we go. So we've got ones that might have some history. So in this case here, Sarah Wiggum moved in on the 29th of April. Previously, it was an occupier. So same with these little arrows here, I can jump off to those customers. I can go to those customers, but at least this way here is a way that you can actually see everyone in the search. So for some customers, and again, we're trying to get feedback on how people use it, because we're software developers primarily, so you guys use the system a lot more than us, so any sort of feedback and that sort of thing is excellent, because what we're envisaging is if you're a larger customer and you've got more a large customer base, you're probably going to be using the search screen more. If you're a smaller customer of ours that might have just 1 or 2 buildings, you might or if the buildings are quite small and the number of apartments, you might end up using this building search quite a lot. So what you can do, very quickly you can see in this building, here's all my apartments and here's who lived here. So again, that's a new feature, and one we hope and we think is the feedback we've received to date has been very good. So yeah, so that's something that we're really excited about. The other parts on the search here is this box here. So I'm sure a lot of you are already aware. So I'm just going to grab a number. So you can copy and paste into it, or you can type into it. I'm going to copy and paste because I'm lazy. But obviously you can copy and paste account number into that screen. So that's easy. So everyone knows that. The other thing you may not be aware of, if I go and have a look at this customer, a lot of our customers also have what we call a sales customer number, which is a number that's come across from a migration. So it's from an old system, or it's from a sales system or something like that. So you can also type let me get this right. 6. So you can also type in a sales customer number and it does exactly the same search. So that's what we call a quick search. That's what allows you to do just on account numbers and sales customer numbers. If the customer's got it, you can whack it straight in there. You can copy and paste it or type it in and you're away. It's like a quick search. Jumping back to the search screen, I'm just going to check the Q&A, see if I've got any at this point. No, we're clear. I think it's just loading. So I'll just answer a couple of questions there. So how do I see, so I've got a question here, how do I see the history of customers for unit 100 at the building? So I hope that second screen I showed you, that building screen, is a good way of seeing that, because you can now go to that building, look at unit 100, see the current customer and the history. So yeah, so hopefully that's a good way of doing it. The back and forth arrows also work for the site list or the customer list. They just work off the site list, I believe. Sorry, the customer list, what am I saying? Just off the customer list, so they don't work off the site list. If that's an area of improvement or something you think could work, we could look at something to do there, something that we could, yeah, something we could do around that. But at the moment, I think it's just off the customer list. The other screen, just to show you all in here, which again, it's existing, it's not overly new, is the recent list, right? So you got a recent option here. You had it in the old search as well. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but it is here. And this is, it's only customers that you've been to. So if I'm in here and I've got Wayland Smithers here as a customer, so I'm going to go to Wayland Smithers. So now that I've gone to that customer, it's now in my recent. So it's not just that you've searched on it, that you actually have to have gone to that customer. So now if I go back to my search and I look at my recents, you'll see Wayland Smithers sitting in here. So these are customers that I've recently been to. It always records your last 10, right? So, and that could be over a day, a month, whatever it is, but it's always just recording your last 10 customers. So if there's a customer that you went to and then you have to follow up and do something else on that account, you haven't lost it, or if you haven't got it on the top of your mind, the account number or anything like that, you haven't lost it. Hopefully, if you go back to your recents, you'll see, that's the account that I was working on before, and it'll be sitting in here for you. So that's the purpose of your recents. Just a couple of other things just to show you around the search areas is the dashboards and reports. They also have some search capability within them. So any of these screens, if I go into my unbilled transactions here, for example, right, and the screen loads up, you see you've got a search bar at the top here. So I can pretty much search on any of these values. So you see I've got usage numbers here. So if I type in 36, you can see it's looking in all these fields for 36. So it's found a 36 in the account number here. It's found a 36 in the usage. I could, again, I don't know if there is any, I could type in Homer. There are no Homers in this one. So you can just start typing in these fields and it'll refine these dashboard items for you based on your search. Right, so you can type those in there. And equally with the reports. So if I go into my reports here, I'm going to run my age debtor customer debtor report here. I'm just going to run it for a particular building. So I'm going to go that one there. Show me overdue accounts only run. So that's my report. And again, you'll see we've got a search bar at the top here. So I can do the same thing here where I can search and restrict this report. Oh, that one didn't have no one overdue there. Eh? This building might be empty. Here we go. Here we go. So again, we've got a whole bunch of customers sitting in this report and I can type in these values as well. So I think we've got a lot of occupiers, but I might hopefully find some customers further down somewhere. I think I picked a bad building here. But if I know that account number, for example, I can start I've just copied that on my keyboard here. But you can start typing in account numbers or whatever you want at the top here. There you go. And now it's restricted that search, that report, to just that search value. So all the reports, the dashboard items, all have that search capability. Even any of our other screens, such as these ones that have lots of information here. If you know an invoice number, so this customer here's got 123 records. There's a lot of history here, so I can either go and trawl through it. But the customer, if you know the invoice number, right, or whatever it is, I can just start typing. So I can go 159050 159050, this one here. So I've just typed in the invoice number. So you can do some searching on these screens too to restrict the information you're seeing. So most of the screens, like you can do that on meter reads as well. You can do that on the accounts receivable, as I've just done. There's a whole bunch of screens you can do that on. So that's sort of the scope of some of the tips and tricks or some of the search capability. As I say, the new search feature is only introduced mid last week, so it's about a week old. We're looking for feedback at the moment, so if you've got some feedback for us, you can send a request through to support@utilmate.com or create a ticket and just let us know what you think. If there's improvements, if it's just great, the guys love hearing that too. But if you've got some suggestions on it, we'd love to hear them. We're looking to turn off the old search with this new one, and that might be in the next release, which is coming up in about a bit over a week, or we might push it back a little bit further if we've got more things to do on it based on your feedback. So we're really looking forward for that feedback. So that's really all I had to cover. Has anyone got any further questions for me? No more. There's one question's come in. Yes, on that building search, which on the building search, the ordering I believe is by unit number. So I think that, again, this might be a bit interesting, some of this demo sort of data, but it's ordered by Geo1, Geo2, Geo3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's ordered by unit number, smallest to largest. So that's how it's working at the moment. And equally, if you have often you have multiple products at an apartment, services. So by that I mean power, water, gas, telco, etc. So they'll appear next to each other. So you see you got the icon for electricity. So and hypothetically, if this had water and gas, you'd see 1, 2, 3 different icons for this apartment. So they'd appear as 3 rows. So that's how that would look.